What's up guys, thank you for joining. Today I'm going to teach you 10 useful Power BI tips that will take you to the next level. But before we get started, if this is the first time you stop by this channel, please don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. So now let's do this. So real quick, this is the general overview. Like I said before, we're gonna go from change the source file to a bonus tip. Let's get started with the change the source file. Something really relevant here is that you have to make sure to reconnect to the same file structure. What does it mean? If you make changes to the file, maybe you delete columns or maybe you rename columns in the source file, so you will break the reporting model because you are changing the structure. Please keep that in mind. So now let's do a quick example, okay? In order to apply this, what we need to do is let's go to the Power Query editor. Let's hit home here and then transform data. So this is the Power Query editor window, and then right here let's change the source file for financials because I have two different tables here, right? So let's go over data source settings, and then this window pops up, and here we have two different links, one for financials and one for sales. So let's say that we want to modify this to a different source, right? Let's hit change source. So this new window pops up, and here you want to hit browse. So now let's say that the source file is in a different folder. So let's hit desktop, for example, and I do have here a file called financials at Categorization. So we can have a different name, it doesn't matter, as long as the structure is the same, so it would work fine. Okay, so let's hit open for the example and see what happens. Hit OK. Once we are done, let's close this window and then close and apply. So let's see if this works. See right here, it's loading. It works perfectly. Now, if you want to see the new source, just to make sure that this is working, so let's open the Power Query editor again. And here it is. So we have the financials table and the source is coming from desktop. And here is the name of the file. Boom. We are done with the first tip. Let's close this. So now let's go over the next tip. For those who work with time intelligence calculations, a date column is a must. So you have to have a date column or a date or a calendar table. In order to do so, we can use DAX, we can use Power Query, or we can use just a date table from the source. But for this particular case, let's assume that we don't have a date table or a calendar table in the source, and we're going to use DAX. So let's check the sales table real quick. Let's go to data here and then sales here. So this is the structure that we have, right? We have year, month, and then we also have order and sales. In order to create a calendar table, we need to have a date column. And we don't have a specific date column here. We only have year, month, and month has text. So what we can do here is apply a couple of transformations. So let's go back to home here and let's hit transform data. So I'm going to show you how this thing works. Let's select sales, and here for month, so we want to remove M. So the next step that we want to do here is select the column and then replace values right here. And we're going to replace M, and remember Power Query is case sensitive, so you have to be lowercase, and then we want to replace with nothing. Let's hit OK and let's see what happens. So now you have just the numbers, right, for each month. So the next step is to create a date column. For that particular case, we're going to go to this option right here at column, and then here we're going to select column for examples. You might be familiar with this tool, but this is really powerful. What we want to do here is let's give this new column a date format. So let's do this. We are talking about January 1st, and then 2021. Hit enter. Boom. It seems like it's working fine, but if you double check for February, we need to make a couple of changes here, or maybe just one change. It should be like this. And now if you hit enter, if you see the other rows, so it seems like this example is working totally fine, right? Okay, change the name, call this date if you want, and then hit OK. Boom. Change right here the data type to date, and also you can delete these two columns, right? Hold down Control, select these two columns, remove columns, and then you can also rearrange this date column towards the left. So there you have it. Now you have your date column, and now you are ready to create your calendar table. So let's go back to home here, close and apply. So it's loading, and then you can also format this date a little bit here, short date. There it is. Perfect. So we just created a date column in the sales table. Like I said before, if you want to create a calendar table, you can just use that date column from the sales table and create your calendar table for your model. So that was tip number 2. Now let's go to tip number 3, display folders. Why is this really important? Like it says right here, folders are a great way to declutter tables with many fields. So let's take a look at the financials table real quick. See right here, we have a few measures, right? Average profits, average sales, total profits product, total sales, and it's a little bit overwhelming. But how about if we organize them? In order to do so, let's go to the model view. Let's select the table. We are here in the financials table. And then let's say that I want to create a folder for profits, for the measures, right? Hold down Control and select profits, 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 profits. And then if you take a look at this option right here under properties, it says display folder. So let's call this profit metrics, okay? And let's hit enter. Check this out. Now you see all these measures are part of the profit metrics folder. So it looks so much better, right? And you can do the same for sales if you want. So let's do the same. Hold down Control, and right here you can call this sales metric if you want. Hit enter. Boom. If you go back to the report view, there it is. Profit metrics, sales metric or metrics, there it is. Perfect. So now guys, we are done with the third tip. Let's move on. Data categorization. This is also really helpful because it provides hints to the report designer. For example, like it says right here, if you have country, if you categorize as country region, this provides more accurate information to Power BI when it renders a map visualization. So let's do this real quick, my friends. Let's go back to the model view, and then we have this field called country. Select this field, and then what we need to do here is let's open advanced if it's not open, and then right here there is an option called data category. Hit this option and select country region, and let's see what happens. Check this out. Boom, we see this world icon right there. So what does it mean? Now it means that this is actually a country or region officially, right? This structure. If you go back to the report view, there it is. So now when you want to create a map visualization like it says right here, it would be so much easier to find those type of fields. So let's say that we want to create this visual, and you want to add country here, and perhaps profit as well. Well, it didn't go through right here. There you go. So it works perfectly now. So now guys, let's move on to the next tip. Descriptions. Like it says right here, it provides more background about the model. We can add descriptions to tables, columns, measures, and hierarchies. And there is an example here. So let's add sales made in 2013 and 14 in the sales column. All right, copy this. So let's go to sales right here. Let's hit the model view, sales again. And here, there is a field here called description. Let's paste this text into here, hit enter, or maybe you can click outside of the box. And now, if you hover over this field, you see the description here, sales made in 2013 and 2014. Let's go back to our report view, hover over that field, there you go, it is right there. This is really helpful, for example, if you are sharing your reports with other developers. They might want to have more background about your model, and this is a good way. So adding descriptions. So now let's move on to the next tip. Summarize by. This is also a really helpful tip. And remember, by default, numeric values or numeric columns will summarize by summing or adding values together, but it doesn't apply for unit price. For unit price, we should have averages. How do we do this? So this is just an example, okay? So I grabbed this column here, the sales column, and I created a card. It's right there. By default, as you can see, this is the sum of sales. Check this out. It is the sum. But if we are talking about unit prices, it might not make sense. Let's quickly take a look at the data, okay? Financials here, back to data. And then here, let's look for sales price. As you can see, this is the unit sales price, right? So if you go back to report here, so we want to have right here an average, because that would make sense. In order to do so, let's go back to the model view, and here, let's select sales price, and check this out, my friend. Let's hit advanced here, and then what we need to do here is summarize by average, and then the changes are automatically made. So let's Control C, Control V, I'm copying this visual and removing this. And now, if I select sales price, drag this into this card, check this out. This is giving me the average sales price, which makes sense. And right here is the total. By default, every time you drag this field right here, sales price, it will give you the average of sales price. So this is really helpful, okay? Now guys, let's move on to the next tip. Quick measures. This is also really helpful if you are learning DAX. Why? Because it shows you the components, the structure of the calculation. So let's perform a quick example here, okay? Hit the financials table, right click, quick measure, and let's select here the type of calculation. So we're gonna go over the mathematical operations category and select subtraction, okay? And here we're gonna use two numeric columns. The base value is gonna be sales, and then the value to subtract is gonna be cost of goods sold. Check this out, let's add this. It's loading. Now you can see the new measure right here. If you take a look at the structure here, so that's how we calculate subtractions. We have to sum the sales column, and also we have to sum the cost of goods sold column, and then subtract both of them. If you want, you can also drag this new measure into the canvas and create a card, for example. There you go. So now let's move on to the next tip. The power of Calculate. If you have been playing with Power BI for a while, you might know that Calculate is one of the most important functions that you should learn. Why? Because this function allows you to modify the filter context. It says right here, with calculate, you can override certain portions of the context that's being used to express the correct result. And I'm going to do a quick example here. We're going to create a measure that always calculates total profits for April 2014, regardless of which year or month are selected, and any other visual in Power BI. I already performed the measure, so let's take a look at the financials table here, and then let's display the measures under profit metrics. And then right here, there is a measure called total profit April 2014. So what is going on here? So I have the calculate function. This is the expression. We're looking for profits, but just for April 2014. That's what I'm looking for. So once we are done with that, we approve the changes and we are good to go. So let me show you how it works. So let's drag this measure into this card, and now I have smaller value here, total profit for April 2014. So what does it mean? If I play with a date filter, it wouldn't affect this one. Why? Because the calculate function is overriding that filter. Let me show you how it works. Let's move this filter. Nothing changes here. How about here? Nothing changes here. It only changed total profits. Why is this not changing? Because I use the calculate function to override any date filter. That's the reason. But if we do have a different filter, like country for example, it would affect, because country is not part of the calculate filter. Check this out. Canada, it affects this number now. How about Canada and France? There you go. See, that's how this works. It's really, really interesting how we can use the calculate function to modify the filter context. Powerful, powerful function in Power BI. So now guys, let's move on to the next trick. Sort by column. This is also a really, really powerful feature in Power BI. Quickly, by default, text values are sorted alphabetically, numbers from smallest to largest, dates are sorted from earliest to latest. So here, if you can take a look at this visual real quick, you can see that month, year and month are quite organized, but not very well. Check this out. Sort axis, it's already selected month, ascending. It seems like it's working fine, but check this out. We have December 2013, and then November, and then October, then September, and then February 2014 first. Something's wrong there. So what we can do is we can create a key column to solve this month or these dates in a better way. So let me show you how we do that. Let's select the calendar table that we created. It's already there. So we can make this new field active, and then here, check this out. What I'm doing here is basically saying, okay, so year, multiply year by 100 and then add the month. In that way we can have a month key column. So let's approve these changes and let's see what happens. So now I have this new column called month key. Check this out. So let's select the month column here, and let's minimize this. And as you can see, you have the option here under the column tools tab, sort by column. Hit this option and we're gonna sort month by month key. And let's see what happens here. Check this out. Boom. So now this is really, really well organized, right? We have September, October, November, and December 2013, and then we have from January to March 2014. Very, very well organized. So this is a powerful, powerful feature. Highly recommended, my friends. Learn it. Now let's talk about the step layout for metrics. This is also a powerful feature in Power BI. How does it work? If you want to add more headers to your metrics, you can use this feature. Let's select the metrics first, and then go to this icon right here, format your visual, and then type step layout, and you need to turn this off. Check this out. So this structure changes, right? So you can see now that the product is part of a new header. So this is more visually attractive. Really, really cool feature. So now let's move on to the final tip, the bonus. Remove filters. This is also a really powerful tip. So bear with me, my friends. This is also powerful. Let me show you how it works. We have right here this matrix, and let's say that we want to find or we want to remove the filter just for product. So let me show you how it works. I already have the measure here. As you can see, we are using the calculate function, and we're going to use it in the function called remove filters. So what I'm doing here is removing any filters for the product column. So let me show you how this works. Let's drag this into this visual. Boom. So what is happening here? What is happening is that every time I have a product filter, it doesn't recognize it because I'm removing those filters, right? If that's the case for this particular country, for Germany, so we are getting the total value for product because we are not filtering products here. That's why it's giving you the total number here for every single row. And the same happens for the other country. As you can see, the total value here is 2.4 million, and then it's the same for all products. Why? Because we are removing filters, and we're using the calculate function to modify the filter context. So this is powerful, my friend. If you want to find the rate by product, you can do that real quick. Check this out. I already have this measure here, profit rate. Drag this into this visual. There you go. So now you have the rate in terms of profits for each product. Quite straightforward, my friends. That's it, my friends. I hope you found these tips really helpful. If so, please give me a thumbs up, share with your friends, leave a comment or question below, and of course, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. Thank you guys, and see you in my next tutorial.